Hello, I'm Mighty Mac and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we finished up qualifying for the inaugural PRO Superstar Shootout. History has been made down in Florida and we find out who will be going home and who will be competing in a very interesting competition that was made today. Let's get into the video. So we start off today's video with, of course, the wrap-up for qualifying for the PRO Shootout. History has been made in Funny Car, as I'm guessing you're all aware if you've been paying attention to any social media platform. The speed record has not only been broken, it has been obliterated. Bob Tasca III, who set the world on fire last night by tying the national record set by Robert Height back in 2018 in the laid-back header era, has now gone back and obliterated it with a 341 mile an hour run. 341.68 now is unofficially the speed record. I want to point that out because this is what's going to be said. This is not an NHRA sanctioned event. If you watched last night's video, I said it there too. This is not an NHRA sanctioned event. They might be running NHRA certified cars using rules set by the NHRA on an NHRA sanctioned track, but this is not their event, so they are more than likely not going to count this towards the official national record. So as it stands right now, Robert Height still has the official one, but regardless of how you want to look at it, Bob Tasca has now taken over that top spot. And he said in the morning that that's what he was aiming for. I actually got confirmation that he wasn't even aiming for the ET. They purposely set up the car so that way it could have as much speed as possible. And that's exactly what they got by absolutely setting down the track, did not even bother aiming for the top spot, which they lost, by the way. We'll get into that later. But man, oh man, this is honestly the last big benchmark that drag racing has had. We set the 300 mile an hour at the 8th mile back at the Charlotte Nationals in the countdown with Mike Salinas. This was the last one. And again, it was not a top field car. I don't think many people would have expected that, especially with the laid back header era like dying around the last 2 years. We thought it was going to be top fuel with how fast those cars are running, especially with how Brittany Force has been running the last few years. But man, Bob Tasca, congratulations to him. Congratulations to the entire team on that by making history here at the PRO Shootout. This is a monumentous day for drag racing. This is the last big record that has stood, and I don't know how we're going to top this. The only one that's left really is who's going to be the first one to do it on an NHRA national event stage and take that national event record. That is the last one that's going to stand, because again, I highly doubt it. While we can say that Bob Tasca is not the fastest man in the world, or fastest man in a what the hell you want, carbureted, I don't know, not a car, in a normal racing engine, and not in a land speed record car, in a normal piston engine. That's what the term was looking for, a piston engine. Bob Tasca now holds on to it. I do want to get into something else too. There was a lot of criticisms thrown towards the NHRA in this last event. Steve Torrence said earlier today that with the huge crowd turnout, which I want to give a huge shout out to Drag Illustrated and the PRO and everybody involved with this event for accomplishing. They sent out a press release today, an email warning media at the track to show up earlier tomorrow because the crowd size has actually exceeded what they were expecting. They have filled the grandstands, have filled the parking lots, have filled the lot at Bradenton Motorsports Park to the absolute limit, and it's more likely going to be even better tomorrow. But a lot of people have been saying and comparing this to the NHRA, which is fair. You want to compare it to NHRA because it's been a while since you've had something to compare top big nitro racing compared to the elite that is the NHRA. And I do feel that some of it is not very warranted in a way that is fair and unbiased. The number one thing was everyone was looking at the broadcast saying that the audio quality was so big. And this is the one thing I want to get out there. It is not really fair to compare what Flow Racing is doing with the pro category versus what NHRA TV has to offer. It's more fair to compare it to the Fox Sports broadcast because that is what they are doing. It is really similar to that, even down to the commentary, which is not a dig to Ralph Shaheen or Jack Beckman. They have done an incredible job this weekend commentating this race. But this isn't the same thing. NHRA TV is more close to what they've been doing with the sportsman category, handing it over to the PA announcer and doing live raw feed from the track, which is what Alan Reinhart does, and along with everybody else, including Brian Loans, Joe Costello, Jason Logan, and everybody who was a part of it. To say that the audio quality, for example, that is exactly what Fox is doing. It's just Flow really turned it up higher than what Fox usually does. I don't really see how that's fair to the NHRA. Same thing with media and promotion. I've been to NHRA races. I've met the people that run the social media pages as well as everything else. For what the people that they have and the people that run those accounts and the low amount of staff they have compared to what I've seen NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and the SRO who runs the GT World Challenge America series, like for the size that they have compared to what these other series have, they're doing an incredible job. If they had more, they'd be able to compete with what they're doing. Same with what Flow has, what I'm assuming with Flow and Drag Illustrated, with what they're able to do. The NHRA goes above and beyond and does exactly what they need to do to grow this sport. Could it be better? Absolutely, but you need more people to do that, and that is something that will come along in a later time if they ever decide they need to do that. But for the criticisms that I've seen thrown at them, while some of it is fair, a lot of it really isn't, and I want to just really point that out there. And then my one message to any driver that is watching this, for instance, a driver, Steve Torrence, said, this is what drag racing should be. Someone should be taking notes. What exactly do you mean by that? You stand there and you say that things need to be set, like things need to be changed. Outside of the obvious one, which is transparency with the rule book, was what we saw in the countdown last season with Vegas, along with the ballot situation at Dallas with the Millikins. Like I said, in Vegas with the header situation with the Tascas, as well as the Pro Stock situation. That is really the one big thing. The only other thing is the media rights deal with recording on the line. Obviously, with Flow, it's a lot looser, but a lot of the shades being thrown at the NHRA for not being allowed to record on the wall or being as loose with it as the Flow in the Drag Illustrated and the PRO Shootout is. That's not NHRA. That is Fox. I have talked to NHRA in the past about that. That is a Fox deal, and they don't want to make them upset and make them leave or anything like that. That is something that can hopefully be resulted and fixed later on. But again, a lot of the things of the criticisms that is thrown at the NHRA, I don't feel is very validated. Some of it is fair. A majority of what I'm seeing isn't. And to any driver that's going to go out there and say people need to be taking notes, again, instead of thanking your sponsors and hugging each other, get on the mic and say what you mean. Take more time explaining to us what exactly you want changed or exactly how you feel, rather than telling us things need to change, because that doesn't get anything done. And if you're going to say something like, oh, we've met with the NHRA and it falls on deaf ears, say that. If you're going to say, oh, we've talked to them and we have a kind of a hush order, at least say that. Give us something to work with, because as somebody who might not be aware, we don't know. So again, explain further what you mean by that, so that way we're all on the same page. We all understand what's going on. And I'll give credit to Wes Buck. Wes Buck has done that time and time again on his live show. He has gone at length at what he means by when he says things need to change, and he explains it, and that is exactly what I feel these drivers should do. If you really want things to change, follow Wes' example and be more open, because again, Tony Pedregon went at length of this at the beginning of last season too. The same exact thing I'm saying. If you want this sport to grow, be more honest. Take less time thanking your sponsors, as much as important as they are. You could thank them, spend less time hugging each other and more time just being outright honest with the fans, so that way we understand what's going on, and hopefully you can have a rivalry to help grow this sport. And also, what I'll say too, if you really want the sport to grow, don't stand in NHRA's way when they bring something like a driver ranking system and you guys aren't a fan of it. That's the last thing I'm going to say before I get myself in trouble with this. Let's go into the timing results. Let's focus on tomorrow, and then let's focus on some interesting things that are going to come out of that. In Pro Stock, Erica Enders was not qualified going into today. She had a very poor run in Q1 last night. She now takes the number one spot at 6.505. She will hold on to number one honors. Dallas Glenn takes second. Krisha Quadra third. Jerry Tucker in fourth. Bo Butner fifth. Aaron Stanfield sixth. Jack Coughlin Jr. in seventh. Fernando Quadra Jr. rounds out the top half in eighth. And again, keep this in mind. While the fuel cars take 8, Pro Stock takes 16. So 9th is Hartford, 10th is Troy Coughlin Jr., 11th is Chris McGahey, 12th is Dave Connolly, 13th David Quadra, 14th Eric Latino. Big surprise by Greg Anderson qualifying 15th, and then Camry Caruso takes the final spot. The 2 cars to go home, and these are the real big surprises, as well as in the fuel cars, which I'll talk about in a second. 17th is Derek Kramer, 18th Mason McGahey. And again, also they're going to do the chip draws probably right now. If I don't right, probably as of right now, so I don't have it. When they do come out, if they're not in the video, if you're not going to see it at some point in the video, then you will see it on my social media pages, Mighty Mac 03 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All of it will be on there, or in the YouTube community pages. We're also post a lot of updates. So again, follow me on social media pages so that way you can stay up to date with what's going to go on tomorrow, because it is going to be insane. And if I'm rambling too fast, it is because the energy is there. This event is insane and history has been made, and I am jacked up on Mountain Dew. So, oh my God. Let's get into funny card. This is where things got crazy. Austin Prague, 3.825 takes the top honors. And Bob Tasca III, like I said, team was not aiming for the top ET. They were aiming for that top speed. And I can tell you for a fact, that was a little bit personal because of how last year ended. If you remember watching the Vegas video or follow me on all the social media pages again, I posted then that a lot of the protests that came towards Bob Tasca's headers was from the Force camp. So when I say that this is a bit personal, it is a little bit personal because they just took Robert Height's top speed record from them. And again, 341.680. Sadly, it's with 3.840. That puts him in second. John Force third. J.R. Todd fourth. Paul Lee fifth. Matt Hagan, who was not in the show going into Q4, bumps his way up to sixth. Alexis Joria in seventh. And then Cruz Pedregon in eighth. A 3.903 sees him in the show. And I want to say this about the funny car qualifying. That was insane. I keep saying that Q4 at Bradenton was going to deliver just like it did in the World Series of Pro Mod, and it does it again because that was absolutely fantastic of a showing from those drivers, and they deserve all the credit for putting on a show because that was on the same level as what Indy 500 bump day used to be like and currently is like. All those drivers are the top guys in the sport, championship multiple times over, fighting for the last spot to get into the show. We saw that about 4 times throughout this event. And Cruz Pedregon is the one that gets to take that. Chad Green, first car out in ninth, a 3.916, fails to make the show. Daniel Wilkerson in debut in funny car, a 3.929. Blake Alexander, your winner from Norwalk, was holding on all the way up until Q4, ends up getting bumped out. Ron Capps, the big surprise, in 12th, a 3.945. The 4-time funny car champion of the world will not make the show. And then Dave Richards in 13th. Top Fuel. And again, things got crazy. Doug Coletta came in number 1 qualifier. He got bumped by Clay Milliken in the final run at 3.669. In the Cletus McFarland Top Fuel Dragster sees Clay Milliken go to the top. Reigning champion Doug Coletta second at 6.78. Mike Salinas third. Antron Brown came into the show not in the field. Got into 6th, I believe, actually in Q3. Bumped himself up to 4th with a 6.94. Tony Schumacher 5th. Sean Langdon 6th. Justin Ashley 7th. And Leah Pruitt in her final full event takes home 8th. Steve Torrence, the big surprise, multiple-time champion. He's out of the show. Josh Hart, the hometown kid in the RNO Carriers Top Fuel Dragster, fails to make a show with a 7.29. Brittany Force, the real big surprise. Again, multi-time champion. The queen of speed of Top Fuel Drag Racing, a 7.36. Finds herself second to last, only behind Billy Torrence, who just could not seem to find a break in all 4 runs. He fails to make the show. And again, here's where the big surprise is going to be. It was announced today, midway through final round qualifying, that they had created this new deal. You remember the No Bull Showdown, the Top Fuel versus Funny Car race? Oh boy, is it back. They're going to do this tomorrow. The cars that did not make the show. So Steve Torrence, Josh Hart, Brittany Force, Billy Torrence, and then as well, Chad Green, Daniel Wilkerson, Blake Alexander, Ron Capps, and Dave Richards. Tomorrow, they will all make a run down the track. The fastest 2 cars of each class will make a grudge match race, and they will race down the track. I don't remember how much it is for, but regardless, this is going to be a huge deal. It has been 24 years since we have seen something like this. It has been something that the fans have been wanting, and even people in the sport have been wanting, and we are finally going to see what a modern Top Fuel in a modern funny car will do. Who do I think is going to be the ones to do it? I'm going to say Ron Capps is going to get himself into funny car, and he will be the one to do it because I know he is down for stuff like this. As for Top Fuel, it's going to be between Steve Torrence and Brittany Force. I guarantee you that as well, because Brittany Force is not going to take this one lying down. And as the queen of speed, she is going to be the one to really put down a number, especially with how poor performance she had this weekend. Again, I know I've been rambling. I'm a rambling man right now, but again, historic night in Nitro Fuel Drag Racing and drag racing as a whole. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on all the social media pages down below. MyNameMac03 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, everywhere. Subscribe to the channel, share the video so everybody gets the love of drag racing, because again, we saw history tonight, and if this, keep in mind, this is the first race. We're not even at Gainesville. The season hasn't started yet. We're not even fighting for points yet. If last year was anything to go off of, you cannot afford to miss this race. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow everything down below. I will be giving updates tomorrow. And then until the next video, this has been Mighty Mac, and I will see you next time. I got it right this time. How about that?